In the vast, deep forest of YouTube, long have I served as an insignificant spirit. I am known as the I'll forget it. Ocarina of Time is without a doubt one of the greatest games ever created. Often cited as the best Zelda game in the series, is this notion actually true? Is Ocarina of Time really the best Zelda game ever, or have we had it completely wrong for all of these years? Over the last few decades, there have been more than 10 mainline Zelda games and countless spin-offs. Of all of the mainline games, there are a few which stand out much more than others. Ocarina of Time and Breath of the Wild are just two of them. They're considered the creme de la creme of Zelda games, whereas others, like Skyward Sword and possibly even Zelda 2, are on the lower end of the scale. That doesn't necessarily mean they are bad, far from it in fact. The Skyward Sword remaster on the Switch is actually a very solid game and fixes a lot of the problems and criticisms of the original on the Wii. Looking back at the time when Zelda evolved from top-down to 3D, Nintendo took due care and attention to every possible aspect of the game, which resulted in an almost airtight Zelda experience. If you put on those nostalgia goggles, the answer to our original question is most likely yes. Ocarina of Time is the best Zelda game. That is, unless you're a Majora's Mask fan, like me. I love Majora's Mask, it's my favourite. I personally think it is the best Zelda game, but go ahead and try and change my mind. Anyway, the fact of the matter is that most games in the early 3D days of gaming don't hold up particularly well today, and sadly, this is almost true for Ocarina of Time. I know there are some clever people out there who've done things to the ROM, made it look pretty awesome, really good. Even people tried remaking it in Unreal 4 or Unreal 5. But here, I'm talking about the original version that came out on the cartridge in the 90s. Visually, Majora's Mask is superior. Atmospherically, Majora's Mask is superior. But playing both of these games today may not quite be the same feeling as it was back in the days of the Nintendo 64. Luckily, we have the 3D remakes, or is it technically remasters? Well, either way, they are good, but I don't think they quite hold up so well now. Clearly, Breath of the Wild looks far better than these N64 games. Or does it? Twilight Princess looks better than Wind Waker. Wait, does it really? The problem is that everybody has a personal preference on how they want their Zelda to look. It's always been that way, from the early tech demo of the GameCube to any visual experience and upgrade that you see, for example, fans making on mods. But if we base our opinion on looks, ease of use, playability and story, then Ocarina of Time doesn't rank highly at all. Twilight Princess is a great game, but perhaps I only think that because I consider Majora's Mask to be the best Zelda. Dark, atmospheric, creepy, better looking, etc. What it all comes down to is the fact that Ocarina of Time was a relic of its time. Nintendo pulled it off incredibly well. Shigeru Miyamoto is a genius on almost every level, and he is the reason why Zelda has never really fallen from grace. But Zelda has always been viewed with nostalgia goggles, and if Ocarina of Time was made today, it probably wouldn't be anything like the Ocarina of Time we all know and love. So, is Ocarina of Time really the best Zelda game? From a personal point of view, no. But from an evolutionary point of view, yes, it is. It set the bar for every Zelda game that came after it. It laid the ground of all the great Zelda games that followed, and despite how it looks now on my 4K TV playing natively on my N64, I still love it. And I'm sure every Zelda fan out there does too. Sure, it's not as vast as Wind Waker or Breath of the Wild, and it isn't as atmospheric as Majora's Mask or Twilight Princess, but Ocarina of Time paved the way for more than just Zelda games. In fact, if it wasn't for Ocarina of Time, would we really have the same Zelda experience that we have today? It's hard to tell. But looking back, what Nintendo managed to pull off with Ocarina of Time was nothing short of genius. It performed so well, and we owe it a lot in the gaming world. So the next time you're thinking about an old Zelda game and thinking how awful it looks, just think, we owe it more than you realise. Thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to see more just like this.